What happens if the primary motor cortex is damaged, for example, due to disease or trauma? Well, for one thing, lesions to motor cortex in one cerebral hemisphere always result in impairments on the contralateral side of the body. In other words, if the left hemisphere is damaged, the effects will only be seen on the right body half. The part of the body affected by a motor cortical lesion is also highly dependent on the size of the lesion. Recall that M1 is organized topographically. As particular areas of M1 control the movement of particular body parts, it shouldn't be surprising that small lesions in M1 tend to cause quite localized impairments, affecting motor activity in only parts of, rather than the entire body. Larger lesions, on the other hand, can debilitate a hemisphere's entire motor strip, resulting in hemiplegia, or the partial or total paralysis of one side, the contralateral side of the body. Since much of the homunculus is devoted to the wrist and hand, lesions to M1 often compromise independent, skilled movements of the fingers or thumb. However, as mentioned earlier, we have multiple descending pathways of upper motor neuron projections into the spinal cord, and these pathways contain some redundancy. As a consequence, if a particular group of neurons is damaged in M1, surviving pathways can often compensate for the lost functions of the damaged projections. Unfortunately, lesions of the motor cortex are typically rather large, especially if they're induced by blunt trauma, such as a car or sports accident. Often this leads to damage of multiple, if not all, descending pathways, and thus causes widespread impairment in voluntary movement. Indeed, interruption of upper motor neuron activity can have significant functional consequences, inducing such impairments as paresis, or general weakness of movement, hypertonia, or increased tension in the muscles even at rest, and hyperreflexia, or a state of exaggerated reflex responsivity. This latter effect may surprise you, as we've highlighted the cortex-independent nature of spinal reflex arcs. However, it turns out that while reflexes are generated independently of cortical input, upper neuronal signals play a key role in modulating reflexive activity. By delivering inhibitory suppressive input to the spinal circuit when a reflexive act is known to be unnecessary or needs to be overridden. Without this inhibition, reflexes can become overly forceful and triggered by quite minor stimuli, causing maladaptive muscle spasticity. The fact that an injury to the upper motor neurons can also impair spinal reflexes highlights just how interconnected the various parts of the motor system are, and how incredible it is that we're able to control our behavior as effectively as we are, given how many complex circuits must operate in synchrony to generate even the simplest acts. It should be noted that not all species experience M1 lesions the same way. Recent evidence from right here at Harvard suggests that one can completely remove motor cortex in rats while completely sparing complex learned motor behaviors. This suggests that, at least in some species, other motor pathways, such as in the striatum, may be able to carry the load for complex behaviors, even with the cortex removed. Understanding how cortical and subcortical motor pathways work together to produce behavior is very much an open area of research.